I slammed the car door so hard the hubcap flew off, rolling into the gutter like a discarded quarter. My father's laughter echoed from the porch. That guttural bark he'd honed over decades of boardroom deals and backroom betrayals, as if my empty hands were the punchline to some cosmic joke. Claire. Honey, you think a Hallmark card's gonna cut it for your brother's big day? Try harder next time, or don't bother showing up at all. That was the night I decided family wasn't blood, it was a debt. And mine was overdue for collection. But first, I had to claw my way out of the hole they'd buried me in. One where the air tasted like regret and the walls whispered secrets I'd carried for them like a goddamn cross. Little did they know, the prodigal daughter was coming home not to beg forgiveness, but to burn the whole inheritance to the ground. The rain hadn't let up since I'd crossed the George Washington Bridge, turning the Jersey Turnpike into a slick ribbon of regret that mirrored the mess of my life. I gripped the wheel of my beat-up Civic, the one I'd bought with tips from slinging coffee in a Newark diner, and wondered how the hell I'd ended up here again, driving back to the family estate in Short Hills like a moth to a porch light rigged with bug spray. It was Tommy's 21st birthday. My baby brother. The golden child who'd never once had to apologize for existing. And me, Claire Hargrove, the black sheep with a rap sheet longer than Dad's list of ex-mistresses. I'd scraped together $30 for gas and a gas station bouquet of wilting daisies, white-knuckled it all the way from my shoebox apartment in the Ironbound, where the neighbors blasted reggaeton till dawn and the fridge hummed like it was auditioning for a horror flick. No gift. No frills. Just me, showing up because Mom's ghost still haunted the guest room. Her photo on the mantel, with that soft smile that said, "Forgive them, Claire. They're all you've got." Bullshit. Forgiveness was for suckers who'd never tasted the inside of a cell block. The house loomed like a bad memory, colonial sprawl with ivy choking the bricks, floodlights cutting through the downpour like accusatory fingers. Dad's Cadillac was parked crooked in the drive, probably after one too many scotches at the club. I killed the engine, grabbed the flowers, and trudged up the steps, mud sucking at my thrift store boots. The door swung open before I could knock. Tommy, all lanky limbs and trust fund grin, pulling me into a bear hug that smelled like Axe body spray and entitlement. Claire, you made it, dude. The party's lit. Wait. Where's the present? His eyes scanned my hands, that boyish excitement flickering like a faulty bulb. I forced a smile, thrusting the daisies at him. These are from the heart, kid. Can't wrap sincerity in Amazon Prime. He laughed. But it was the polite kind. The one that said, "Cool story, sis. But Dad's got a keg from Belgium." We shuffled inside, the foyer swallowing us in its marble chill. Voices drifted from the living room, Dad's booming baritone, my sister Elena's tinkling laugh like wind chimes in a hurricane, and her husband, Mark, murmuring something about stocks climbing Wall Street like ivy on a coffin. I hung my coat on the rack, the one Mom had picked out in Tuscany before the cancer turned her into a husk. The mirror caught my reflection, 32 going on 50, dark circles under hazel eyes that had seen too many sunrises behind bars, hair pulled into a no-nonsense ponytail that screamed, "Don't fuck with me." I smoothed my flannel shirt, ironed that morning over the kitchen sink, and stepped into the fray. Dad spotted me first, perched in his leather armchair like a king on a thrift store throne, tumbler in hand, ice clinking like tiny guillotines. "Well, if it isn't the prodigal felon. Claire, sweetheart, you look resourceful." His eyes raked over the flowers Tommy was already dumping in a vase by the bar. "What's this? Weeds for the weed whacker?" The room went pin-drop quiet. Elena, draped in cashmere that probably cost more than my rent, shot me a pity smile from the sofa. Her legs crossed like she was posing for AJ, that crew catalog. Mark, ever the beta in his Brooks Brothers button-down, chuckled nervously into his phone. Tommy shifted, uncomfortable.
But Dad?
Dad leaned back and let out that laugh, the one that started in his gut and ended in a wheeze. Like he'd just closed a merger on a rival's corpse. Come on, Pop, Tommy muttered, but it was half-hearted. The way kids defend stray dogs before the pound shows up. I stood there, roots of those daisies digging into my palms like accusations. Happy birthday,
Tommy. I
couldn't swing more this month. Rent's up. And the shifts at the diner. Rent, Dad snorted, swirling his drink. In this economy, try negotiating like a man.
Claire.
Or better yet, like your sister here. Elena's got Mark pulling 6 figures at Goldman. And they're already talking Hampton's summer house. You're peddling lattes to truckers who tip in loose change. Elena's cheeks flushed, but she didn't defend me.
No.
She patted Mark's knee, like this was just another Tuesday roast.
Dad.
Ease up. Claire's doing her best.
Her best. God.
If she only knew what her best had cost me. That word hung in the air, thick as the cigar smoke Dad would light up later, choking the oxygen from the room. I wanted to scream it all right there, the lies, the cover-up, the way they'd pinned their sins on me like a scarlet letter from a Greek tragedy. But I swallowed it down, bitter as black coffee, and muttered,
Yeah.
My best. The party lurched on without me. Really? Tommy cracked open the keg. Elena mixed cosmos that glowed like neon lies. And Dad regaled Mark with tales of the 80s bull market, back when he was building empires instead of burying daughters. I nursed a warm beer in the corner, watching them orbit each other like planets in a fucked-up solar system. Elena caught my eye once, mouthing sorry, but her apology was as substantial as the foam on my drink, gone before it could stick. By midnight, the rain had stopped, leaving the world slick and gleaming under the moon. I slipped out to the back patio, the one with the infinity pool Mom had dreamed of, now edged with Dad's half-dead azaleas. The city lights twinkled in the distance, Manhattan's skyline a jagged promise of what could have been. I lit a cigarette, Marlboros smuggled from the diner's lost and found, and exhaled smoke rings that dissolved like my resolve. That's when Mark found me, stumbling out with a fresh beer. His tie loosened like a noose after execution. Claire?
Hey.
Boss lady. You okay? Boss lady. The words hit like a slap from an old lover. Last week, at the family barbecue, Elena had guilted me into. He'd overheard me on the phone, negotiating a side gig, freelance consulting for a startup in the Flatiron District. I'd parlayed my time served into a knack for risk assessment, turning prison smarts into boardroom edge. Mark, with his corner office and his golf handicap, had pulled me aside after, eyes wide. Claire, that was killer. Call me if you need intros. You're a natural boss.
Now.
Under the stars, he plopped down beside me, oblivious to the chasm. Look, your dad's a dick sometimes. But Elena,
she worries about you.
We all do. I took a drag, the ember flaring like the spark of something darker. Worries? That's rich. Last time she worried, she left me holding the bag for her little joyride. He blinked, beer halfway to his lips.
What?
The accident? That was years ago. You said. I said what they told me to say.
Mark.
Plead guilty.
Keep it quiet.
Family first, right? My voice cracked. But I didn't care. The truth was a dam breaking. Words flooding out after a decade of drought. Elena was the one behind the wheel that night, blitzed on vodka cranberries from that frat party at Princeton. She T-boned that Prius on Route 1. Killed the driver, a mom coming home from night shift. But Daddy's lawyer spun it. Claire's the wild one. The fuck-up with the juvie record from shoplifting candy at 14. She'll take the fall. Minimal sentence. And we bury it. Mark's face drained of color. The beer forgotten. Jesus.
Claire.
Why didn't you fight it? Snitch on my own blood. I laughed. Hollow as Dad's. Because that's what we do in the Hargrove house. We protect the brand. Elena gets to graduate summa cum laude. Marry the golden boy. Pop out trust fund babies. And me? I do 18 months in county. Lose my scholarship to Rutgers. And emerge with a felony that follows me like a shadow at high noon. He shifted. Uncomfortable. Glancing back at the house where laughter still bubbled like champagne. I had no idea. Elena never. Of course she didn't. That's the beauty of it. Lies are the family glue. I stubbed out the cigarette, grinding it under my heel. But glue cracks.
Mark.
And when it does, everything shatters. He called me boss again then, trying to salvage the moment. But it landed like a misfired bullet. I stood, brushing off my jeans, the night air sharp against my skin. Tell Tommy happy birthday for me. And Mark, if you really mean that boss shit, wire me $1,000 for the hubcap. Call it an investment. I walked away without looking back, the gravel crunching underfoot like bones. In the car, engine coughing to life, I punched the dashboard until my knuckles split. Not from rage, at least, not all of it. From the clarity. The debt was called. And Claire Hargrove always paid her dues. But revenge? That wasn't a check, it was a bomb. Ticking down from the moment I turned the key and headed back to the city that chewed up dreams and spat out hustlers. I'd build my empire from the ashes of theirs. Brick by bloody brick. And when they called me boss for real, it wouldn't be a slip-up. It'd be a coronation. The weeks blurred into a grind that would have broken lesser women. Morning started at 4 a.m., brewing espresso for suits who tipped like misers. Afternoons hustling cold calls for that Flatiron gig, risk analysis for fintech bros too scared to bet on themselves. Nights, I pored over case files in the public library, the ones I'd FOIA'd on a whim. Yellowed pages whispering confirmations of what I'd always known. Elena's blood alcohol was twice the limit. The tox report buried under Daddy's checkbook justice. The mom's name, Lydia Vasquez, stared back at me from a grainy obit photo. Her smile as faded as my own hopes. I didn't cry. Crying was for the old Claire, the one who'd sobbed in the squad car while Elena sobbed apologies in the passenger seat.
No.
This Claire sharpened knives in the dark. Metaphorical ones at first. A burner email to a PI buddy from lockup. Digging for dirt on the family finances. Dad's real estate empire? Built on sand. Shell companies laundering kickbacks from Jersey developers. The kind that greased palms from Atlantic City to Albany. By month's end, I'd landed the consulting contract full-time, $20,000 retainer to audit their security protocols. Ironies thicker than the client handbook. Mark's intro had opened the door. His guilty conscience a lever I pulled without mercy. You're a natural, he'd said over lunch at Le Pain Quotidien, his fork hovering over a $28 salad. Boss material. I smiled then. All teeth. Flattery'll get you everywhere.
Mark.
Just don't tell Elena I'm gunning for her lifestyle. He laughed. Uneasy. But signed the check. That night, in my apartment with the peeling wallpaper and the super, who eyed me like fresh meat, I transferred the first installment to a high-yield account, my war chest. Seed money for the reckoning. Elena called the next day. Voice syrupy over the line. Claire Bear, Mark says you're killing it at this new job. So proud. We should do lunch, my treat. Catch up on girl stuff. Girl stuff. Like we'd ever been girls together. Not rivals in Dad's coliseum of conditional love. Sure.
Sis.
Name the spot. We met at Sant Ambrius on Madison, her in Louboutins that clicked like countdowns, me in loafers from Target that whispered, imposter. She air-kissed my cheeks. Ordered a kale smoothie without consulting the menu. And dove in. So, Tommy's talking grad school at Wharton. Dad's pulling strings. Of course. And Mark's up for partner. Crazy. Right? Crazy, I echoed. Sipping my Americano. Bloskas my muet. Sounds like the Hargrove Express is full steam ahead. She leaned in, eyes gleaming with that sorority shine. It is. But you. God. Claire. After everything, you're thriving. That accident, your accident, it was a blip. Water under the bridge. My grip tightened on the cup. Ceramic biting into palm. Blip? Try anchor. Elena. Sank my whole damn ship. Her smile faltered. Just a twitch. I know I owe you.
Big time.
That's why. Here. She slid an envelope across the table. Crisp. Monogrammed.
Inside.
A check for $5,000. For old times. No strings. No strings. Except the ones tethering her to the lie we'd both swallowed. I pocketed it. Cool as a corpse. Thanks.
Sis.
Means the world. We hugged goodbye. Her perfume, Chanel No. 5. Mom's favorite, clinging like a curse. Driving back. Check burning a hole in my glove box. I felt the first real surge of power. Not the petty kind from a diner tip jar, but the deep, seismic shift of a woman who'd learned to weaponize her wounds. That power grew roots over the next months. The fintech gig ballooned, referrals from Mark's network. Audits turning into overhauls. My name whispered in venture capital circles like a dirty secret with dividends. I moved to a one-bed in Williamsburg. Traded the Civic for a leased Audi that purred like vindication. Dad noticed. Of course, invited me to Thanksgiving at the house. His voice gruff over the phone. Heard you're playing with the big boys now.
Claire.
Don't let it go to your head. I didn't laugh. Not yet. Wouldn't dream of it.
Pop.
See you at the table. The holiday was a minefield dressed as turkey. Elena preened over her bun in the oven announcement. Mark toasting to family legacies. Tommy eyeing me like I'd grown a second head, jealous. Maybe. Of the sister who'd risen from the dead. Dad carved the bird with surgical precision. His knife flashing under the chandelier. To Claire, he said midway through, raising his glass with a smirk. May she afford more than daisies next year. The table tittered. Obligatory. I clinked back. Eyes locked on his. To debts paid in full. Dad. Every last cent. He blinked. Just once. But it was enough. The hook was set. Winter bit into Brooklyn like a junkyard dog. Snow piling up on fire escapes and turning the streets into slushy battlegrounds. I thrived in it, though my office in a co-working space off Bedford Avenue, all exposed brick and overpriced pour-overs, became command central. By January, I wasn't just consulting, I was infiltrating. Hired by a boutique firm to vet acquisitions, I had access to databases that peeled back corporate skins like onions, revealing rot at the core. And Hargrove Properties, Dad's crown jewel? It reeked. The PI's report landed in my inbox on a Tuesday. Encrypted PDF thick as a confession. Shell companies nested like Russian dolls. Hargrove Holdings funneling consulting fees to offshore accounts in the Caymans, tied to a mobbed-up contractor from Bayonne who disappeared mid-trial. Elena's trust fund, watered with the same dirty rain. Mark's bonus pool at Goldman, tainted by insider tips Dad fed him over 18-year scotch. I printed it all, pages stacking like evidence in a cold case. Late nights, I'd spread them across my kitchen table, remnants of takeout cartons pushed aside, red pens circling names, arrows connecting dots. Lydia Vasquez's obit yellowed at the center, her face a talisman. "This is for you," I'd whisper, tracing her smile. "And for the Claire you never got to ruin." But revenge isn't a straight shot. It's a funhouse mirror, distorting your reflection until you question if the monster's on the other side of the glass. Doubts crept in during the quiet hours. 3 a.m. Sweats where Mom's voice echoed. Blood's thicker than ink. Baby girl. Thicker than the bars I'd rotted behind? I pushed it down, focused on the plan. Step 1, isolate. Step 2, expose. Step 3, watch them eat their own. Elena made it easy. She called in February, voice pitching up like a siren. "Claire, emergency lunch. Pregnancy cravings, Italian. Stat. We met at Carbone." Her belly just starting to show under a tent of designer maternity wear. She devoured carbonara like it was absolution. Fork scraping plate. Mark stressed, she confessed between bites. Work's insane. And Dad's pushing this big deal, some waterfront in Red Hook. Says it's legacy stuff. Legacy. The word soured my tiramisu. Sounds heavy. You okay juggling it all? She waved it off. But her eyes, those blue saucers that had always gotten her out of tickets, darted. Mostly. Just. Old ghosts. That night. You know, I dream about it sometimes. The screech. The lights. If you'd just driven myself home, I finished. Voice velvet over steel. Or maybe if you'd manned up and owned it. She froze. Fork midair. Sauce dripping like blood from a fresh wound. Claire.
Don't.
We were kids. Dad said. Dad said protect the family. At all costs. I leaned in, the booth's leather creaking like a gallows. But costs have interest, Elena. And yours is compounding. Her face crumpled, tears welling fast as a flash flood. I know I fucked you over. Royally. But the baby's coming.
And I
need you. Be the auntie.
Claire.
Forgive me. Please. The check came her treat. As always, and I paid it. Sliding cash across with a 20 extra for the server. Forgiveness isn't free.
Cease.
But blood? That's a start. She hugged me goodbye in the vestibule, belly pressing against me like an unwelcome oracle. I love you, she whispered. Love you too, I lied, the words tasting like ash. Driving back through the slush, I felt the fracture widen. She was pregnant, carrying the next generation of Hargrove lies. Did I really want to nuke the nursery? Tommy provided the counterweight, unwitting as a pawn. He crashed at my place after a Wharton interview gone south, Dad's strings tangled in nepotism scandals, the dean side-eyeing his app like it smelled of privilege.
We split a pizza on my couch.
Extra cheese congealing under the glow of a Netflix true crime doc. You're killing it, Claire, he said, mouth full. Boss moves. Dad won't shut up about your comeback story. Thinks it's inspirational bullshit. I laughed. Genuine for once. Inspirational? Try cautionary tale. Don't end up like me.
Tommy.
One wrong turn. And you're roadkill. He sobered, wiping sauce on his sleeve.
Nah.
You're the phoenix.
Cease.
Rising and shit. Elena's the one flailing. Mark's bonuses dried up. Dad's riding him hard. Family's fracturing. Fracturing. Music to my ears. Or maybe just the echo of my own cracks. Tell me more. Off the record.
He did.
Spilling like a tipped keg. Dad's red hook deal hinged on a zoning variance, greased by a councilman with a gambling habit. Mark's firm was auditing it peripherally, conflict of interest humming like a tripwire.
Tommy,
eager for street cred, had overheard Elena arguing with Dad, something about Claire's cut from the old trusts. A payout to keep me quiet. Quiet, I echoed, heart kicking like a mule. They think money muzzles me? Tommy shrugged, oblivious.
Dunno.
But Elena's freaked. Says if you go nuclear. We all glow. I walked him to the door at dawn. Subway rumbling below like buried thunder. Thanks for the intel.
Kid.
And Tommy? Don't trust anyone. Not even family. He fist-bumped me, off to catch the path. Alone. I booted up the laptop. Fingers flying. The PI had a contact at the Journal, a non-tip line for real estate scams. I drafted the email. Attachments zipped. Ledgers. Emails. The works. One click. And Dad's empire crumbled like stale biscotti. But I hesitated, cursor blinking like a guilty conscience. Lydia's photo stared from the desktop. Accusatory. What about the baby? Elena's plea echoed, soft as a lullaby. I minimized, poured a whiskey, neat, like Dad, and paced the loft. Floorboards groaning underfoot. Morning broke gray and unforgiving. Mark called at 8:15. Voice clipped. Claire. Meeting.
Now.
Dad's office. I arrived at Hargrove Properties on Park Avenue by 9. The lobby a cathedral of glass and greed. Dad's corner suite overlooked the chaos below. Toy cars inching through canyons of steel. He was behind the desk. Elena perched on the credenza like a nervous bird. Mark pacing with his phone glued to ear. Claire, Dad boomed, gesturing to a chair that probably cost more than my first car.
Sit.
We got a proposition. Elena shot me puppy eyes. But I ignored her, settling in with crossed legs and a cool stare.
Proposition?
Or ultimatum. Dad chuckled. That bark again. But thinner now. Laced with scotch even at this hour. Smart girl. Always were. Look. The red hook thing's heating up. Zoned for luxury condos. But the locals are bitching, gentrification sob stories. We need a front. Someone clean. Relatable.
You. Me.
The felon poster child. Their redemption arc. And what's in it for the token ex-con? He slid a folder across. Contracts. Projections. 50 grand up front. Equity stake. Consulting title that smelled like laundering. You play nice. We all win. Elena here's got the bun baking. Can't have scandal now. Mark hung up. Face ashen. DOJ's sniffing around Goldman's audits. If this leaks. He trailed off. Eyes pleading.
Boss. They needed me.
Not as sister or daughter, but as shield. Elena reached for my hand. Please.
Claire.
For the family. The room spun. A carousel of betrayals. I flipped the folder shut. Standing slow. Family. Funny word for a cartel. Dad's jowls tightened. Watch your tone.
Girl.
This ain't a negotiation.
Oh.
It is. I pulled the USB from my pocket, the PI's dirt, digitized dagger. I got receipts. Shells. Bribes. The works. One email to the feds. And your legacy's landfill. Elena's gasp was theatrical. Mark swore under breath. Dad? He just stared, calculating odds like a poker pro bluffing with a busted flush. Blackmail, he rumbled. From my own blood? Poetic. Ain't it? You taught me protect the brand.
Well.
Mine's spotless now.
Yours?
Filthy. The standoff stretched, air thick as fog off the East River. Elena whimpered. Hand on belly. Mark edged toward the door. Phone twitching. Dad leaned back. Steepling fingers. What do you want? Claire? Name it. Everything, I said, voice steady as a judge's gavel. The truth. On record. Elena confesses to the crash. Full mea culpa. Civil suit payout to Lydia's family. You dissolve the shells. Pay back taxes. And me, I walk with the equity. Clean slate. Or, Dad prompted. Eyes narrowing. Or I hit send. Simple as that. Elena bolted up. Tears streaming. Claire.
No.
The baby, think of the baby. I shot back. Every night. I think of the one you orphaned. The words landed like grenades. She collapsed into Mark's arms, sobs racking her frame. Dad's face purpled, vein throbbing at temple. You ungrateful bitch. After all we've saved, I interrupted. You saved your asses. Not mine. Mark stepped forward, voice low. Claire. Boss. Let's talk this out. Mediation. Lawyers. Boss. I repeated, savoring it.
Yeah.
That's me now. I turned for the door. USB heavy in pocket. You have till midnight.
TikTok.
Family. The elevator descent was euphoric freefall. Lobby blurring into streaks of marble. Outside. The city roared, horns. Pedestrians. The pulse of a beast that devoured the weak. I hailed a cab. Destination clear, my PI's office in Midtown. Backup plan in motion. But as the cab merged into traffic, doubt not again. Was this justice or just another layer of the cage? Elena's sobs echoed. The baby's ghost unborn. And Dad's eyes, that cold calculus, promised retaliation. Midnight came and went in a haze of burner calls and encrypted drops. No confession. No dissolution. Just silence from the fortress.
By dawn.
My inbox lit up. Subpoena notices. From Dad's shark lawyers.
Game on.
Spring erupted in Brooklyn like a hangover cure, cherry blossoms shedding petals on sidewalks still scarred by salt. Hipsters trading parkas for ironic teas. I barely noticed. Holed up in my loft turned war room. Blinds drawn against the bloom. The subpoena was a gauntlet thrown. Dad's opening salvo. Defamation suit. Alleging I'd fabricated the files to extort family assets. Elena's deposition loomed. Mark's firm distancing him with leave of absence. Tommy texting frantic emojis from Philly, where Wharton's doors had slammed shut. I lawyered up on contingency, a pitbull named Rosa from legal aid who'd cut her teeth on RICO cases. Her office smelling of empanadas and justice overdue. This is gold. Claire, she growled over coffee in a Williamsburg cafe. Pages fanned like a winning hand. Mafia ties? Obstruction of justice on the crash? We flipped this into a countersuit, wrongful imprisonment, emotional distress. They settle for millions.
Milio.
The number danced like fireflies. But it wasn't the green that hooked me. It was the gray, erasing the felony. The scarlet stamp that had branded me unemployable. Untouchable. And the exposure? I pressed. I wanted public. Names and lights. Hargrove hypocrisy on every front page. Rose's eyes gleamed. A predator scenting blood. You sure? Mud sticks both ways. They'll paint you as the vengeful psycho sister. Jilted by daddy's love. Lemon, I said, stirring sugar into black oblivion. I've worn worse labels. The countersuit dropped like a bomb on a Tuesday. Press release timed for the evening news. By 6 p.m., my phone was a hornet's nest, reporters from the Post sniffing for quotes. Elena's number flashing like a distress beacon, voicemails pleading. Claire, stop this. You're destroying us. I listened to one. Her voice raw, the baby's kicking. Feels like anger. Is this what you want? To curse us all? I deleted it. Blocked her. But the kick, metaphorical gut punch, lingered. That night, I walked the bridge to Manhattan, East River turning below like bile. Lights strung the skyline. A necklace of false promises. Lydia's family, I'd tracked them to the Bronx. A sister named Maria, who'd hung up on my apology call. Voice steel. Too late for sorry.
Mia.
My niece draws pictures of a grandma she'll never know. Too late. The echo mocked me. Was I any better? Dredging graves for sport? Dad struck back fast. Tabloid style. The Post ran a splash. Heiress hell. Jailed sister blackmails dynasty over fatal crash cover-up. Grainy mugshot from my arrest. 19. Terrified. Eyeliner smeared like war paint. Quotes from anonymous sources. Elena the Saint. Me the Snake. Tommy called. Voice cracking. Claire. What the fuck? Dad's cutting me off, no tuition. Nothing. Says I'm compromise. Compromise. I barked. Pacing my loft. City hum a dull roar through the window. Tell him to look in the mirror. Or better, the Caymans. He's breaking.
Cease.
Heart stuff, Doc says stress. And Elena. She's talking termination. Says she can't bring a kid into this shitstorm. Termination. The word hollowed me out. Wind whistling through ribs. Tommy, listen. This ends when they own it. All of it. Not with my retreat. He hung up sobbing. The line dead as my mercy. I poured a drink, gin this time, juniper bite cutting the sweet, and scrolled Elena's Insta. Frozen public profile, a shrine to bliss. Bump selfies in Central Park. Mark's hand protective on her swell. Lies layered like fondant on a poison cake. Rosa called at midnight. Motion to dismiss filed. Judge smells bullshit, sets hearing for next week. You holding? Barely, I admitted. Glass trembling. They weaponizing the baby. She paused. Papers rustling. Classic. But remember Lydia's girl. This ain't about them anymore. The hearing was a circus in Foley Square. Metal detectors beeping like judgmental crickets. I wore a sheath dress from H&M. Tailored sharp. Power pose without the price tag. Dad arrived in a town car. Elena on his arm. Her face bloated from crying. Mark trailing like a whipped dog. No Tommy, he ghosted. Probably holed up in a dorm dodging calls. The courtroom smelled of old varnish and older grudges. Judge Harlan, a silver fox with a rep for skewering white-collar weasels, scanned the filings. Glasses perched like a hawk's beak. Dad's lawyer, a silk stocking named Witherspoon, postured first. Your Honor, this is a vindictive fabrication by a convicted felon seeking to upend a family's good name. Rosa Rose. Firebrand. Good name? Built on corpses. Your Honor. Hennis. Hargrove, Claire, served time for a crime committed by her sister. Elena Hargrove. Now seeking to evade accountability while pregnant with the fruits of privilege. Gasps rippled. Spectators crammed the gallery. Post-fatigue snapping discreetly. Elena whimpered. Hand to mouth. Dad's jaw set like concrete. Witherspoon blustered. Slander. No proof. Proof. Rosa slapped the tox report down. Pages fanning. BAC. 0.18. Crash forensics pinning the wheel to Elena's prints. And the laundering? IRS filings. Offshore wires. Exhibit F through Z. Harlan leaned forward. Eyes narrowing. Counsel. This isn't a civil spat. Obstruction of justice? Vehicular homicide cover-up? I'll order depots under oath. Hennis. Hargrove, Claire, your motion for summary judgment is tabled. But discovery opens tomorrow. No holds barred. Adjournment hit like recess after a beating. In the hall, Elena lunged, grabbing my arm, nails digging half-moons. You monster. My baby's life, our lives, for your ego. I wrenched free, voice low. Ego? This is ledger. Elena. You wrote the debts. Dad loomed. Witherspoon hovering. Drop it.
Claire.
Or we bury you deeper. Deeper. I laughed. Brittle. I've been 6 feet under since Princeton. Your move. I fled to the steps. Paparazzi flashbulbs popping like gunfire. A cab idled curbside. I dove in. Destination. Maria Vasquez's address.
Bronx bound.
The sister answered the buzzer warily. Door cracked on chain. What now? More Hargrove money. No, I said, holding up a Metro card. Coffee.
My dime.
Please. Maria's apartment was a time capsule. Lydia's photos on every surface. Kids' drawings taped to fridge. Her niece, Sophia, 8 now, peeked from the hall, braids swinging. We sat at a formica table, steam rising from mugs like peace pipes. I settled the suit last year, Maria said, stirring honey. Their check cleared, but it don't bring her back. I know. My throat tightened. I drove that night.
Or.
I confessed to it. Her eyes sharpened.
Spoon pausing.
You the sister? The one who took the fall. I nodded. The weight lifting fractionally. Elena. She was wasted.
Panicked.
Dad made the call. Maria's laugh was bitter chicory. Figures. Rich folks buy silence like gum. Why tell me now? Because I'm burning it down.
Thumb.
All of it. I slid a card across Rosa's contact. If you want in, sue again. Civil. Criminal. Make them pay true. She studied it. Then me. And you? What you get side scars.
Scars heal? I lied.
Justice? That's eternal. Sophia wandered in then, climbing Maria's lap.
Thea.
Who's she? Maria hugged tight. Someone fixing what's broke.
Mia.
Driving back. Bridges spanning the Harlem like veins. I felt the tide shift. Not victory, too raw for that, but momentum. The depots were set. Elena first. Then Dad. Oaths would crack them open like eggs. But cracks spiderweb. That night, Mark showed at my door, unannounced, rain-soaked, looking like a drowned broker.
Claire. Boss.
Let me in. I did, against better judgment. He paced the living room, dripping on Persian, irony's rug, ranting, Elena's suicidal.
Claire.
Pills in the drawer. Notes half-written. Dad's lawyering up to institutionalize her if she cracks on the stand. Suicide. The words sucked air from the room. And this is my fault. It's ours, he admitted, collapsing on the couch. I knew bits, the crash. The fix. Thought it was ancient. But the laundering? Dad roped me in last year. Harmless paperwork. Now DOJ circling. And Elena. She's unraveling. I poured him a towel. Gin meat. Why tell me? Because you're the only one strong enough. His eyes met mine. Desperate. Call it off. For her. For the kid. The kid. Unborn pawn in checkmate. I sipped my own glass. Juniper burning. One truth.
Mark.
Full board.
Elena confesses.
Dad folds the shells. I pull the plug. He nodded. Frantic.
Deal.
Tomorrow. But Claire, if she loses it. She won't, I hoped. Family first. Right? He left at dawn. Cab taillights fading into mist. I didn't sleep. Vigil over the city. By noon, Rosa texted, depot postponed. Elena hospitalized, overdose attempt. Overdose. The dam broke then. Tears hot and unbidden. Not for Elena, the betrayer, but for the girl we'd been. Sisters in pigtails trading secrets under porch lights. What had we become? Summer scorched the city into submission, tar bubbling on rooftops. I see units wheezing like asthmatic dragons. Elena's attempt made headlines. Sanitized. Real estate scion's daughter hospitalized amid family feud. No mention of pills or pleas. Just exhaustion from pregnancy stress. Dad spun it masterfully. Statement to the Times painting me as the villain, a troubled relative exploiting personal tragedies for gain.
Gain.
If only they knew, the countersuit was my gain. But the cost? Sleepless nights tallying the fractures. Tommy dropped out. Crashing with frat bros in Fishtown. Mark separated. Subletting a walk-up in Murray Hill. Dad selling off parcels of the estate. Liquidating to fund the fortress. And Elena? Stabilized in a private suite at Mount Sinai. Fetal monitors beeping like accusatory metronomes. Rosa pushed for settlement. Her office, now a bunker of banker boxes. They'll cave.
Claire.
Witherspoon called. Amicable resolution floated. 20 mil. Expungement. NDA. NDA. The gag that had birthed this beast. No gag, I countered. Feet up on her desk. Public apology. Confession filed. Lydia's family gets half. She whistled low. Hardball. They bite. You're legend. They don't. You're broke and infamous. Infamous suited me. I doubled down. Leaking sanitized docs to a podcaster, true crime darling with a Spotify deal. The Fall Girl, episode 1 dropped viral. My voice modulated but unmistakable. They chose legacy over life.
Now.
I choose truth. Downloads spiked. Merch sold. Ironic Fall Girl. Tease funding my war chest. Protests popped at Hargrove sites. Red Hook locals chaining defenses. Chanting no justice. No luxury. Dad's stock tanked 15%. Analysts whispering, dynasty in decline. Tommy resurfaced in August. Gaunt and bearded. Pounding on my door with a duffel.
Sis.
I'm in. We hugged fierce. Bones pressing like apologies. Over IPAs on the fire escape. Fireflies winking below. He spilled. Dad's desperate, selling the Short Hills house. Elena's out, but medicated to the gills. Talking adoption. Says the kid deserves better than cursed blood.
Cursed.
The word stung. Self-fulfilling. And you? Wharton ghosted. He nodded. Swigging bitter. But I hacked the family server, old emails. The crash night. Elena begging Dad. Don't let Claire take it. He replies. She will. Or we all burn. Proof.
Claire.
Ironclad. I took the drive he handed over. Files timestamped like guillotines. Why now?
Tommy?
After the radio silence. Because fuck them, he said. Eyes fierce. You carried us. Time I carry you, brother. The alliance sealed over greasy diner eggs next morn. Plotting like thieves in plain sight. Tommy fed intel from the fringes. Dad's Cayman liquidation stalled by feds. Mark flipping on minor players for immunity. The web tightened. Hargrove at its frayed heart. Elena reached out via letter. Handwritten. Loopy script on lavender stationery. Postmarked from a rehab in the Berkshires. Claire. I'm clean. Clear-headed. And sorry doesn't cut it. I stole your life. The crash. The lies. I was scared. Selfish. But the baby's real now. Kicking like she knows. I want to make it right. Meet me? Neutral ground. Neutral ground. The old playground in Maplewood. Swings creaking empty under harvest moon. I arrived early. Hoodie up against the chill. Leaves crunching like brittle bones. Elena waddled up at dusk. Mark's Audi idling distant. Her coat tented over the swell. You came, she breathed. Eyes clear but shadowed.
God. Claire.
You look powerful. Boss, I quipped. Half smile.
Sit.
Talk. We perched on a bench. Frost nipping air. She launched unfiltered. Therapy peeled it back. The guilt. The addiction. It started that night. Vodka to numb the wheel. The crunch. Dad covered because he always does. Mom's death broke him. Made him armor up.
But me?
I let you drown for it. Tears tracked her cheeks. Unashamed. The baby's a girl. Naming her Lydia.
If
you'll let me. Lydia. The gut punch doubled me. Don't. That's not redemption. That's theft. She flinched. Then what? I confess, jail. Probation. Lose her? Dad's fighting. Says it'll kill me. Kill you. Laughter escaped.
Sharp.
Lydia died. Her sister scrapes by on memories and my guilty cash. You lose a condo, not a life. Elena nodded. Slow.
Fair.
So take it, custody. Raise her right. Away from the curse. Custody. The offer hung. A grenade unpinned.
Me.
The felon aunt. Mother to the betrayer's child? You're serious. As the grave I dug for you. She pressed a hand to belly.
Feel.
I did, palm flat. A flutter like butterfly rage. Life. Insistent. Elena. This changes. Nothing, she cut in.
Fierce.
Unless you want it to. Drop the suit. We co-parent. Fresh start. The moon watched. Impartial. Tommy's drive burned in my pocket. Rose's strategy session tomorrow. But here, under oaks that had shaded our childhood games, I saw the fork. Vengeance or vessel. I need time, I said finally, withdrawing hand.
But.
No more lies. Ever. She hugged me then, awkward over the bump, whispering, never again. Mark collected her, headlights sweeping like spotlights. Alone, I swung idle, chains groaning. The flutter echoed, a heartbeat counter to my own. Mother? The word terrified, tantalized. Dad's counter came swift, ambush at my loft. 2 a.m. Buzzer shattering sleep. Security feed showed him, disheveled in pajamas, bottle in fist. I let him up. Curiosity's curse. Claire, he bellowed, staggering in, reeking of bourbon and defeat. You win.
Bitch.
Take the house. The shares, everything.
Just.
Elena. The baby. Don't destroy us.
Destroy.
The plea from a destroyer. It's not destruction.
Pop.
It's demolition. For what was built on bones. He collapsed in the armchair, head in hands. I know. The crash, I panicked. You were tough.
Claire.
Could take the hit. Elena. Fragile. Like her mother. Fragile.
Mom.
Withered to whispers by chemo. Not this toxin-spinning tyrant. And Lydia? Just collateral. His eyes met mine. Wet and wild. Mistakes happen. In business. In blood. Forgive me. For once. Forgiveness. The hook I'd swallowed whole. Midnight deadline passed weeks ago. Now, it's dawn. He lurched up, grabbing my shoulders, grip iron despite the shake. Then kill me. Not them. The door flew open, Tommy. Key I'd given him. Baseball bat from the closet. Get off her. Dad staggered back, laughing maniacal. The boy too? Full mutiny. Tommy swung wild, bat clipping Dad's arm, crack like dry lightning. Dad howled, clutching elbow. You little shit. Sirens wailed distant. Neighbors, 911. I shoved Tommy out. Dad slumping against wall.
Go.
Now. Cops hauled him away. Disorderly. Assault charges pending. I followed to the station, bailing him out gray dawn. The desk sergeant's smirk sang it all. Family reunion? In the car. Silence thick. Home, he muttered. Or what's left. The estate was gutted. Furniture crated. Echoes hollow. He poured a scotch in the kitchen. Ice clinking judgment. Your mother would have hated this. Us. Unraveling. Mom died fighting, I said, sipping fire. Not hiding. He nodded. Slow. Sign the papers tomorrow. It's yours. Ours? The Empire. Poison chalice. And the confession?
Done.
Elena's scripting it with Witherspoon. Clean.
Clean.
The word mocked. But I took it armistice. Uneasy. Weeks blurred to settlement. 25 mil wired. Felony expunged. Public mea culpa in the Times op-ed. Elena penitent. Dad contrite. Lydia's family got 10. Maria calling tearful. Sophia draws you now. Aunt Claire.
Aunt.
The title fit looser than boss. But peace? Fragile as eggshell. Tommy moved in. Prepping for community college. Mark reconciled.
Tentative.
Elena delivered in October. Little Lydia rose. Red-faced squalor handed to me first in the recovery room. Your niece, Elena whispered. Exhausted. Our do-over. I held her, tiny fist clutching finger, and felt the twist, not victory, but vicious circle. I toppled the throne, but sat upon splinters. Fall deepened into winter's prelude, leaves carpeting Central Park in funeral pyres. The settlement cash burned a path. I bought the Short Hills house outright, renovated it into a haven. Mom's azaleas revived. Guest rooms for Tommy and weekend Sophia visits. The firm? I rebranded. Vasquez Risk Partners. Niche in ethical audits. Maria on the board. Her Bronx wisdom grounding my Brooklyn edge. Clients flocked, wary of the Hargrove fallout, seeking salvation in my story. Boss. The title stuck, inked on business cards, murmured in boardrooms. Mark called weekly, consulting on his rebound. Goldman ousted him. But he landed at a nonprofit, redeeming the family name. Elena healed slow. Therapy marathons. Lydia rose her anchor. We'd meet Sundays at the park. Swings now occupied by chubby legs. Elena pushing while I spotted. Sisters again, she'd ask.
Tentative.
Complicated. I'd reply. Truthful. Trust rebuilt brick by brick. But mortar thin. Dad faded to periphery. Florida condo. Golf with ghosts. Calls sporadic. Proud of you.
Kid.
Finally. Lies or epiphany. I'd hung up debating. But visited once. His eyes milky with cataracts and contrition. The empire's yours now. Don't fuck it. I won't, I promised. But no more shadows. He died in spring. Aneurysm quiet as a sigh. Funeral packed. Old cronies eulogizing empires. Elena dabbing tears beside Mark. Tommy stone-faced in the pew. I spoke last. He built much. Broke more. Rest easy.
Dad.
Debts paid. The wake at the house, my house, turned maudlin. Scotch flowing like Nile tears. Elena pulled me aside. Lydia rose gurgling on her hip. He left you everything. The trusts. The residuals. Said you earned it. Earned. The word twisted. But I nodded. For Lydia Vasquez. The real one. She hugged me. Baby between us like bridge. We start over? All of us. All, I echoed.
Meaning it.
Or trying. But twists lurk in tales. Weeks later. Rifling Dad's safe for papers, lingering shells. IRS loose ends. I found the envelope. Sealed. Addressed to me in Mom's looping hand. Dated pre-cancer. Claire Bear. If he ever. Heart stuttered.
Inside.
Letters. Mom confronting Dad on affairs. Elena's issues. Shoplifting not mine, but hers. Pinned early to toughen me. And the kicker, my birth certificate. Falsified. Not his blood. An affairs issue. Hidden to preserve the brand. Mom's note. You're mine. Always. Stronger than his lies. Not Hargrove. Claire, surname stricken. Origins mud. The betrayal layered. Generational. I burned it in the fireplace. Ashes swirling like confetti at a funeral. No DNA test. No revelation. Let them have their myth. Tommy found me staring at embers. Whiskey in hand. You okay? Sister. I tested. The word anchor.
Yeah.
We're good. The Empire? I dismantled the rot. Donated shells to community land trusts. Red Hook rising affordable. Locals toasting fall girl at block parties. Sophia called me Aunt Claire unprompted. Her drawings now of us. Capes and crowns. Villains vanquished. Elena and I, we mended. Messy, arguments over playdates flaring old fault lines. But apologies quicker. Hugs longer. Mark called me boss unironically. Pitching collabs on ethical finance. Lydia Rose's first word? Duh. To me over the phone. Elena laughing through tears. Victory?
Nah.
That's for fables. This was survival. Scarred and stitched. The kind where you wake at 3 a.m. wondering if the knife's still at your back. But in the daylight, pushing swings or sealing deals, I felt it. Power. Not over them, but within. The debt collected. Interest in lessons learned. Dad laughed once. At empty hands.
Now.
They applaud. Sister's husband. Brother's grin. Family's fragile choir. Boss? Damn right. But Claire, whatever blood, knows the real throne's the one you build from ruins. Uninvited. And if the twist bites later, some buried skeleton rattling chains, I'll meet it head on. After all, in America's grand, gritty opera, the fall girl's the one who always stands last.